The street in which they lived was a narrow alleyway of cobbles roofed over with twisting vines. The house was a broken down affair, with the upper story projecting at an angle over the street. All the houses in the Turkish quarter were blind and silent, the doors always shut and the windows carefully latticed. There was no movement or life. Sometimes some children played gravely in the street, or a few men lounged and gladled, drinking coffee, smoking and talking before the cafe. Otherwise there was sleepy silence, occasionally a hoja. Passed on his way to the mosque, or a woman dressed in shapeless black clothes would come out of a house, close the door carefully behind her, draw her black cloak across her face as a veil leaving only one eye uncovered, and pass on her way to the fountain like a black ghost in the sunlight. Each house was bolted and barred against its neighbors. Indeed, and gave her little more than holes. The woman lived the shut-away life of a bygone in that age, when there were her harems and English garden favorites and rich pashas with splendid palaces. Zubaida was shut away like the rest. Though nearly 30 when Mustafa was born, she had been veiled since she was 7. She rarely went out and then only with an escort, except for her family and a few women in the neighboring houses. She spoke to no one. She was quite uneducated, could neither read nor write, and was ignorant of all the earthly affairs of the outside world. Yet she ruled the family. She was a masterful woman with a dominating manner, and when roused a raging temper, she was of good beating stock. Her father had been a small farmer in southern Albania and her mother a Macedonian, tall and powerfully built, with blue eyes and flaxen hair. She had the vitality of robust health. She lived close to the good earth from which she had sprung and had the qualities of the peasant. She was profoundly religious, patriotic and conservative. She had a shrewd brain and judgment for the primitive realities of life. Like every Turkish woman, her whole life was concentrated on her man-child. An elder son had died at birth, and there was a daughter, Makbula by name. She spoiled Mustafa without restraint, but he responded very little. He was a silent, reserved boy, weak and bony, with pale blue eyes and sandy hair. He rarely showed any affection, except that his mother, petting as a matter of course, disobeyed her orders and fiercely resented any punishment. He was abnormally self-sufficient, rarely made friends with other children, but played solemnly by himself. Others had given up his post in the Ottoman debt and started trading in timber. He wanted Mustafa to be a merchant. Zubaida wanted him to be a priest. They sent him first to the mosque school to learn his 4 hooks and to intone passages of the Quran, and then to the school of one Shamsia Fendi, where he made good progress. Suddenly, Anilka died. There was no money in the wood business. The family were penniless. Rebecca set up the house and claimed shelter with her brother, who farmed some land in a village called Salonika. Then Mustafa was put to clean stables, feed the cattle, scare cows, and tend the sheep. He seemed to like the life. The rough work and the open air suited him, making him tough, wiry, and healthy. But as he grew older, he became even more reserved, solitary, and independent. After 2 years, when Mustafa was 11, Rebecca persuaded her sister to pay for his schooling. During these months, when he had been working in the fields, the boy had become wild and untamed. She had lost all control of him. He would not listen to her. She did not wish him to grow into a shepherd or common farm laborer. Mustafa went back to a school in Salonika. Yet he was forever in hot water. After his open, free life, he kicked against the sibling. He was truculent with his masters. With other boys, he was self-opinionated and boastful, so that he became unpopular. He refused to join their games. If they interfered with him, he fought them. One day he was involved in a general scrimmage. A master dragged him out, and while he kicked and fought, gave him a sound thrashing. Blind with anger, Mustafa ran away and refused to go back to school. Chapter 2. Once more, Rebecca had Mustafa on her hands. Her sister would waste no more money in sending him to another school, and he refused obstinately to go back to the same one. When Rebecca tried to reason with him, he became bullish. When she stormed at him, he stormed back at her. His uncle suggested making a soldier of him. He was a difficult boy and would never settle down to a trade. They had better send him to the military cadet school in Salonika. It was subsidized by the Sultan and it would cost them nothing. If the boy showed he had brains, he would become an officer. If not, he would become a private anyway. His future would be fixed. Rebecca would not hear of it, but Mustafa had made up his own mind. His uncle suggesting appealed to him. Ahmed, the son of their next-door neighbor, had just become a cadet and swaggered about showing off in a uniform. Mustafa did not wish to be a priest. As to being a shopman, that was work for Greeks, Armenians, Christians, Jews, and such like cattle, not for a Turk. He wanted to be a soldier, to be an officer, wear a uniform and give orders to men. Without telling anyone, he persuaded an old retired officer who had been one of his father's friends to stand sponsor for him with the college authorities. He sat for the examination and fasting, gathered before his mother could stop him.